Tonight, can we get right? Tonight, can we get right? Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Hey, I need some of your love tonight. I need some of your love.
Hi.
Hi Vincent, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Wow, you look the same like I don't know years from years
Really?
ago. So you never aged.
Yeah. Are you guys still working
Me? Working from home, definitely.
from home, right? Okay. So it's
Are
the
you
same
at
here.
home? I don't think that's home.
Sorry?
Are you at home right now?
No, I'm in office actually. So some of the businesses are allowed to work. So I have another company that we are doing more on e-commerce stuff. So that one we are allowed to work. But for the brand design, we are not. So I think it's the same. So for the brand design, got to work from home.
I see. Okay. That's good. At
Yeah.
least you're still very productive when it's.
Yeah.
How
So
are
we
you,
still can get
Vincent?
some work done.
Wow.
Good. Good. In some time.
Everyone is healthy at home?
Yeah. 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 But of course, I think everything is slow here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully it will come to pass soon. And
Yeah.
can be as usual again.
How long have you guys been working from home?
Uh, for my case, I think already a month.
Oh wow. Okay.
But actually, because since end of last year, my office is being renovated, and then somehow when this thing happened, then it needs to be paused for a while. So,
Oh.
so it's okay. I think just be patient about it, and then after this, then we can continue on it.
Yeah. I think we just gotta wait out. We just gotta wait out right now.
Yeah, yeah. So, wow, it's great. And maybe Vincent, you can introduce to some of us first, like what's your background and maybe what's your passion.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, so Vincent, I'm actually from StudioWorkz Productions. We have been around for about 16 years right now. So we do more on brand design work. We've been doing things like coming up with designs for brands, their advertising needs. We do more on design creative side, so we don't do a lot on consultancy, but a lot more on the creative work for hospitalities, for F&Bs, retail lines, and such. Yeah, so it's about 16 years right now. Myself, I have a background more in computer engineering, but been running this business for the last 16 years. And yeah, recently, like I was just mentioning, we went into e-commerce as well. So we have another company that does more on uh, content production for e-commerce. Yep. So that's just a totally different entity, but something that's up and coming as well. Yeah.
What's the name of the e-commerce site? Maybe some of
Oh,
us.
sure. It's called Snappy Fly. So it's a yeah, Snappy Fly. It's a snappyfly.com. So we do a lot of like product photography, content production for this e-commerce platforms, marketplaces, and such. Yeah, so that's where we are currently still working because we have to support the online sites, the supermarkets, and all those with the online buying.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, so that's why we are still in business for that. Yeah,
it's good. At least, I mean, something is moving in the
yeah,
situation.
that's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah, right.
that's awesome to hear, Vincent. And I hope that all the business is still going on well. And I know that I've been catch up with you last week, and you said that it's all safe and sound. So
Yeah.
and okay, today apparently I invited you to come here to talk about this one topic called soulful branding. Apparently, just now when I was introducing before we started the live, I'm talking about soulful branding is actually not a very common term in Indonesia because like I think I just made up the term though. because like I see that a lot of brands, even though they have already done their groundwork of doing their identity guidelines and all the elements that they need to follow, so that um, in times they can still be constantly and consistently to evolve, right? But at the same time, most of the brands, I think, even like the big, let's say, a big hospitality in Indonesia, like a local 5-star hotels, usually they've already been existed and established for so long, and somehow they changes their colors, their faces, like simultaneously, until somehow they just need to rebrand everything because it's already very chaotic. And regarding to that, though, I mean, this topic pops up because I think in this crisis and in this pandemic time, there is a need to build trust between brands and customers, but it's a little challenging because the brands cannot offer normal services, maybe, and normal products offer uh, the most that they can be very relevant at the same time, but also need to deliver their authenticity and strong personality. And it's been challenging, but I think the term soulful itself, it's like a soulful person. So they have to be compassionate and at the same time to drive feeling, and also it has to have depth and substance. And I think to build the bond of trust, like the brands needs to always remain authentic and personify their tone, so that more I mean, in this time of pandemic, they can also be adaptive, but at the same time delivering this message that is not just echoing other brands or other competitors, but they can be their true self. So with that background, Vincent, maybe you can actually give us some point of view regarding about this soulful branding.
Sure. Yeah, I think you made a good point right there, actually. That, like a lot of brands and companies, they always start out with doing up their guidelines, the look and feel of the whole brand and such. And the problem I see is with a lot of brands is that they usually stop there. So we get, they get designers to come up with the colors, the brand, the logos, applied to all their collaterals, their renovations and everything. And after that, it stops there. So to them, the persona is just visual. But the thing it's about branding and brands are that there's actually a lot more to just doing up the visuals. That's just a very small part of it. And the most important thing is actually is how it's going to be communicated to all its stakeholders. And to a lot of brands, the problem is that they only see their stakeholders as the customers themselves and the people who are looking at the brand. But there are actually a few other stakeholders which I would say it's more important than just the customers. So for example, in any branding exercise, you always come up with the brand guides and such. Yes, it's for your partners, your designers and all those to look into, but the other person the other group of people that you should actually educate and communicate it to, it's actually your staff, internal staff, and as well as your other partners, your working partners, your vendors and such, and also your other management people in the management. So these are the groups of people which has always been pretty much neglected, especially your internal staff. So you see the bigger brands like Starbucks and such, they after coming up with the whole brand guide, it's not just about communicating it to the customers, but they have a little brand book for the staff as well. Big brands, successful brands, it becomes part of their HR process, whereby once a staff joins the company, they'll be given a brand book, they'll be given something to talk about the culture, what they expect for the staff, what the whole brand is about, and they go to trainings to let them understand as well of what it means to be part of the company, to be part of the brand. And that's something which has been very much neglected in a lot of companies. And I think that that's actually something which maybe a lot of brands should try to work on right now, since, like you said, a lot of it's pretty hard for brands to be doing a lot of things now. Companies are, you work from home, you don't get access to your customers right now, you can't quite meet up with them. there's not much purpose of doing marketing or sales campaigns as well, since you can't really sell. So what I view is that one part of things to strengthen your brand, to make it more authentic, to make it something which is more ingrained, is that to start looking at your staff. You know, how use this time right now to see how you can actually bring this whole brand persona, your brand personality, to let all your staff understand it, to let them to better connect with them as well. And then I think there's many ways to do that. Like for example, we still do a lot of video calls. I presume, like in Singapore we do a lot of Zoom calls with your fellow staff or your customers or partners or such. So I think calls like this during this time, even if there's not much work to be done, you can do like a team call, just to find out a bit of how they're doing, and then also to let them know a bit of what the whole company is doing, as part of the whole brand value systems that you have. And I think that will help a lot in establishing their mindset of belonging to this brand, belonging to the whole culture of the company. Just little things, I think it helps a lot. And at the same time, rethink what, as a company and brand, you have been communicating to your staff, or you haven't been communicating to staff. I think it's a good time right now because you have a lot more time on hand. And the only people that you probably have more access or time to communicate with right now are your internal staff. So I think it's a good time to maybe rethink, if you have actually come up with a brand persona for your brand while you're doing the branding exercise at the start. Have you actually communicated all these points to your internal staff? If you haven't, how are you going to do it right now? How do you let them know that what all this means to them, what all this means to the company, and what it means to be for them to be as part of this culture? And I think that's a lot of ways to bring it out as well. It's like, if for example, if you have a brand that's meant to be fun, fun and exciting, then even during this pandemic time, you want to show that you are still a fun and exciting brand. I mean, yes, the situation is not that it's something serious and something adverse right now, but we do want to still show that we can still derive some fun amidst this pandemic, and that can be both broadcast to your staff, to your partners, to your customers, through your tone of voice. So if you're a fun company, or you're an exciting company, or innovative company, then at this time you might want to think of some more creative ways of engaging your staff. I've seen like some tech companies here in Singapore, e-commerce companies actually, they do post on their IGs and LinkedIn of like screenshots of their staff enjoying themselves on Zoom. So everybody does something special, something fun, and then they make it in a video on Zoom. And yeah, so make the best use of it. And when you do little things like that, it actually helps to exemplify what your brand is about. So when the people like the public sees it, they feel that, oh yeah, you're still a fun brand. You still know how to make good use of the time right now to have some fun within your own organization. And for your staff, they still get to engage. Because to be honest, like when day to day, as much as you say that you're a fun company, when you start being bogged down by work and projects and such, it's hard to do that. It's hard to have fun while working and such. So it's a good time right now that everybody has a bit more time on hand, that you let them have some fun amidst it, and people then start to feel that, oh yes, I'm actually part of this whole culture, and that's where our brand culture and brand persona is actually. Yeah, so it's not just fun. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to show it. Like if you're a sincere brand, you're a compassionate brand, yeah, you can show it by your actions. So I think there are a lot of brands right now who has also done certain things like helping the community, donating, or even like trying to find some jobs for people who are out of jobs right now. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of ways to to show that you're a compassionate brand, a sincere brand, both to the public and again to your staff. So I mean, if you're a brand that's set out to be compassionate and a very family oriented brand, then of course right now the key is to how to show that to your staff as well. Treat them like a family, engage with them. You can even have a meal together like a family. Let them know that you're there for them during this period of time, and that other than staying at home and being with the few people in the house, they still are able to connect with you, with the team, to sound out their problems, and they have another channel of reaching out to get help. And I think all these little things during this time, although it's just like you may not see it on a bigger picture, but I think after the entire pandemic is over and people are back to work, what you have done in this last month or 2 months or few months, it's going to mean a lot to your employees. It's going to mean a lot to the people who have been engaged with you throughout the period of what your brand actually means, and that you actually can bring out this brand persona deep down into what you've been doing in the last few months. And I believe that during this time, especially to people that are close to you, to people that work with you day to day, the adversity itself will actually help to show a lot of how people. I mean, like I think it's a time of adversities, and it's a time for companies to actually see the true side of your own employees, and also for the employees to see the true side of the company. And I mean, personally, myself, I've also seen my employees themselves who do want to help each other, and the company itself during this period of time. And you feel that these are things that you probably would not see that much during normal days, but when it comes to adversities like that, people do feel like how much the company is doing for them or how much you're doing for the company. I think it all shows a lot right now because everybody's trying to help each other, and that helps the company to also more to strengthen their brand persona and to make it more in depth within the company. And I think it's only when your internal employees are all engaged and all embracing this brand culture that eventually as a brand you can show to the world and the public and the customers what brand really means. Because it's no point only in management are the ones who's implementing it and the staff are not, or the employees are not doing the same. Yeah, so I think that it's a good time to look into that, to get your internal staff, the internal employees, everybody else, talk to them, find out what the problems were before this pandemic, during the day-to-day. Do they have any issues with fitting into the culture? Break it down into the different brand personalities that you know that your brand is supposed to bring out, and whether your staff or your employees are all able to fit into orders. Do they find any difficulties, or do they find any areas of your operations or your work that doesn't go in line with your brand persona? I think it's a very good time to sit down, talk to them one by one, to understand, write down, and then after that, I think we can always plan for what's going to happen when everything is over, and how to realign, how to resolve these issues and make everybody more in line with your whole brand persona. Yeah. So I think the staff employee side, it's one thing that's pretty important. The other side of things, it's also communicating to the public. I think right now you see a lot of creative ways of people doing things. Be it at home, people start to come up with, everybody's like cooking at home, coming up new ideas of doing things at home with the kids, making craft works that are or even making TikTok videos. I've seen a lot of them, like people who you never seen that they do such things, and they started doing a lot of creative stuff with their families and such. So I think it's an interesting time, and looking into such more creative ways of communicating. I think companies can think of ways like that to kind of bring up the whole brand values that you have as well. Through I think a lot are through digital means definitely. So it could be through your Instagram, through social media, EDMs. Yeah, think of how what kind of things you can bring out. You can actually put a post on your social medias and such that are in line with your tone of voice of the entire brand itself. So it's important to be consistent in that area. Like when we're posting something right now, like if we're going to be a compassionate brand, then of course when we post, we have to be sounding compassionate. We don't want to go do something that goes against this brand persona. Yeah, we don't want to sound insincere. We don't want to sound like we don't care about what's happening around us and things like that. And if we are a brand that tells people that we are strong, we are bold, then again in our communications, I think we have to show that there's no fear in the whole organization. We are all hand in hand together to face this thing. Everyone is strong and prepared to help each and every one of them get past the tough times. So I think all these kind of things are going to be important. Smaller things that we do, smaller posts that we put up, the tone of voice should be consistent. It should be as well reflected on both the employee side and on the public facing sides as well. Yeah, so I think it's going to be it's quite some time right now, and I think it's good for us to do all this, and then with all these things that we do and get feedback from our employees and our partners, then we can also plan on what's going to happen. How we can further strengthen this brand positioning and our brand persona after the pandemic, and how we can maybe even launch some campaigns along the way or after everything is over to let people know these are the things that we have done, and this is why we are what we say we are. Yeah. So yep, that's my view on this part of the topic.
That's really interesting, and I've learned something that which you say is really, I think, important before you think about how to really connect with your customer first. While in this crisis, the most important is always start from your internal companies. And I think people are more concerned on how to build their authenticity on the external, while, like you said, internally, like even to the, let's say, to the least stuff that they think is important in their company, may not know your brand value, may not know your brand personality. And I do agree that to start internally first, even when this pandemic occurs, let's try to pull back a little, and like you said, show care towards your staffs, and how somehow they can actually be more convinced about how your brands can, let's say, even help them first before help other people outside the company, right? And I think it is something that is really important to be authentic to your company first, because while if it's not the stakeholders, if it's not the top managements that are doing it only, but the whole entire company, I think your persona will be much more easily to be told by the whole entity of the company, rather than just maybe 2 or 5 people or 10 people on the top level. So I think it's like you said, it's already came out as a family, and when they're happy with your culture, when they're happy with the way how you somehow nurture the times with them, even through crisis, then I think it will build much more loyalty and also trustworthiness with your brand and your company. And maybe something that I want to ask you, Vincent, a lot of brands kind of forgot on following through, or showing a care system. And follow through means, say, very simple, like e-commerce, right? And when people just buy your stuff randomly and then they get it and then that's it. Some company or some brands just don't do this follow through, which I think is kind of the crucial thing on how to express yourself as a brand. What do you think about it?
You're saying like e-commerce, like people just follow through and just buy, but they don't really have any connection with the company. Are you saying that?
Mm. Like maybe it's just like one point purchasing or one point. So how do brands can really follow through with the customers?
Okay. Well, I think especially when you talk about e-commerce, there are quite a bit of examples of them doing, because I think in the whole digital scene right now, there's a lot more ways of these companies connecting to the customers rather than just one-way purchasings and such. Of course, in e-commerce, there are a lot of other things that matters, like the pricing. So some people buy because they go to a certain marketplace and because it's cheaper. Some people buy because it's got more products and such. So every e-commerce platform and every marketplace will have their own unique selling point that they have positioned themselves and the people go to them. But on a whole, and of course, I think one good example, Amazon. Amazon is one of the earlier started in terms of the e-commerce market, and to today, it's still relevant. It has faced a lot of competitions from and in Singapore from like the Chinese platforms. Alibaba came into Singapore. They invested in a few local platforms and Lazada. There are some local platforms that comes out. I'm sure it's the same in Indonesia as well. But Amazon has remained pretty relevant right now, and in fact, I think this period of time has actually helped them a bit more to even get a bigger pie of the market. They struggled a little when it first came in, but I think what was so true to what they're doing is that they have consistently differentiated themselves in terms of the value proposition, in terms of the whole brand, and in terms of what they provide for the customers. So other than people do go there for a reason. Like if I want to get cheap stuff, I'll go to certain platforms, and if I want to get things whereby they are a bit more quality, I don't mind paying a little bit more, and I want to get things that are more from global markets, from the Western markets, I know I can turn to Amazon, and it's something which I can't quite get reliably from any other platforms. So there they have a unique proposition, of course, where people go back to them. But importantly, on the entire brand persona side as well, what they've been doing is that I think as a brand, Amazon is a very strong brand. So I think in the news we've all seen that during this pandemic they have also started to reach out to people to help countries, to help donate some of the supplies to different countries, different communities, and I think individually in different countries they have also been doing their part to help out the communities as well. And of course, I think that they do have their own set of problems. In the US, there's been a lot of complaints about how they treated staff and such. So those again, like what I mentioned just now, it's not going to do good for the brand in the long run, because if your employees are going to say something and say one thing, and you're doing some different. Yeah, you can try and ensure that you're compassionate in one sense, to the rest of the world. But if your employees are not saying the same thing, then you kind of lose the trust in people of what you're doing as well. But on the whole, what they're doing right now and engaging in people, I think it like helping the communities and such may not be something that drives sales directly, but in the long run, it does build a connection with the people, with your sellers. Yeah, especially like because for e-commerce marketplaces and such, there's always a few different stakeholders in that. One is of course the customers, the other are employees, and there's another part which are your sellers, the people who sells on the platforms. So if you can connect with them and help them through this period of time, like show that, oh, I'm actually doing more to help my sellers as well. And even in any other brands or any other companies right now, if you can show that you connect with your customers, finding out how they're doing it everyone's doing, and if let's say that some which are facing some problems, can you help them a little bit? Maybe like for this period of time, let's all help each other. We can do some things with much lower cost. We can do something with even like just to helping out without any cost. I think all these are the things that you do for your partners, your customers, your employees are going to help a lot down the road, and it's going to differentiate your company, your brand with against the rest. So similarly, like for e-commerce, I think they're trying to do things that are different, that will eventually have a longer term benefit. Because right now it's very hard to reap short term benefits with this situation. But I think what they're trying to do with like e-commerce sites and such is that rather than just pushing a lot of budget into marketing your USPs, I think that's a softer side to things there. Connect with people, show them that you're helping them through this period. See that how I think eventually when you help your sellers, your customers during this period of time, they will stick with you for a longer time after this, and you can also make use of this opportunity to get new customers who will come on board because they feel that like platform A or e-commerce site A, it's going to be. I feel that they are more concerned about everyone right now. They're doing more for the community, so yeah, I don't mind supporting them. So that itself will help to give you an edge over the rest of what you do right now. Over the longer term.
Wow, that's very insightful. And yeah, I do agree a lot. I think there are ways like how to even communicate through e-commerce system, like how Amazon is really smart in doing that. And I think it is important as well on how right now I think consumers or even maybe your employer are thinking on how you can communicate very thoughtfully as well, and not just like really put up all your sales and marketing efforts and your whole ambitiousness because you have lost a lot. But at the same time, you really need to think about how to thoughtfully deliver your message. And I think the existence of brand is always changing, right? I think even through this crisis, when we come up from here, there will be a significant change that all of us, not just like for brands and companies, but the person itself will face another change because there's a shift in behavior of the consumers. The way how they see things probably can be different than the usual, and they're much more careful maybe right now to invest on things, to buy from things. So there are some things that make them internally a shift of perspective. But I think there's this term though, Vincent, called adaptive authenticity. Like, because I think as brands and time and things are always changing, and you can see from one positioning to another positioning, your brands are growing. And why is this actually adaptive authenticity is important? Because I think like authenticity is not meaning like you already have your guidelines, you already have your brand boundaries, and then you just rest there. Like when, let's say after 10 years, say Nokia, after years, and then they really don't want to come out from their shell and just be Nokia without maybe changing their operating system to Android and so on, and there is a very full declining of sales and everything. And then suddenly they just want to change into a different operating system. So I think being authentic needs transparency, yes, and also needs to still communicate thoroughly with your brand elements, but at the same time, it has to be adaptive. It has to be adaptive to the situation itself, or maybe to not just change when you need to, but maybe you can be the driver of the change for your people first. Because a lot of brands right now, I'm I think maybe they can follow. They follow the crisis, the pandemic. Oh yeah, okay, everybody's doing this. I need to do this as well. I don't want to fall behind. But then they are not actually thinking how to adapt to the situation and actually drive a change from another angle, maybe another perspective. I don't know. Do you have anything about this adaptive authenticity?
Yes, actually. So, in fact, I'm going to share a video just nice that you mentioned. I actually came across this just this morning. I'm just going to post the link here. Yeah. So maybe for those who can see it, they can take a look at it later on. So it's this adaptive things. I think it's you're right. I think it's important for brands to be able to adapt to what's happening. And you're totally right as well that people get their brands up and then they just stick with it for long, for years, for 10 years and so. But they do not really see that yes, branding has to be consistent, but at the same time it definitely has to be adaptive because times change and things change, especially during this modern times right now, where brands used to be able to last for, maybe you can have them for 10-20 years before you start to do a rebranding exercise. But right now I think it's changing a lot. The whole world is changing a lot faster. So if you don't start to relook into your branding, your positioning and such, in maybe even like 3 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years time, then you might start to get outdated. People will not be able to connect with you. They will think that, oh, you're still quite old school. You don't fit to what you're looking for. So adapting in this, even before the crisis started, I think it's always important to be adaptive. And I do see that there are some brands that start to adapt a lot more during this time. Like the one I just posted right now is this video from, it's a very simple 1.5 minutes video from this Seychelles tourism board. So what they did inside here was something quite interesting, because they are, after all, like an island, it's just a very nice island with nice clear waters. People go there for holidays and such. And of course, right now during this time, you can't do anything. You can't fly. No one's going to go to the beach. No one's going to be traveling to all these nice destinations. So I think they put some thought in it, and then of course you can't travel right now. You can fly right now. So what can you do? You see. So they came up with a video, a pretty simple and straightforward video, to firstly tell people that all these things will be over, showing a bit more on the compassion and insight and things like this, and that they still showcase a bit of how the island looks like, with nice clear waters, people enjoying themselves by the beach, under the sun and sand and such. And then they kind of end off with saying that yeah, you could for now you can dream of still continue to dream of going to Seychelles Islands. And after the pandemic is over, you can make it a reality. So they did up the whole video with the intention of just telling people, just continue to dream. It's okay, you stay at home, you can continue to dream of how beautiful the island looks and such. And yeah, there's no harm, looking to this and dreaming of your dream destinations and such. But come visit us again, when everything is over. Yeah, for now, yeah, we'll all stay united together to get over this kind of thing. So I think it's pretty adaptive, because for a destination like this, you will think that for this time there's actually nothing much that you can do. There's no point telling people to, oh, please come here, because you can't fly at all. So they kind of changed the whole perspective. They started to tell people that it's okay, you can stay at home to dream about it. Think about where you want to go, think about how nice this place is, and when everything is over, feel free to visit us. So I think it brings out a very strong message right here, that it shows compassion. It shows that you are thinking forward as well. You're planning for what's going to happen after that, and that yeah. So yeah, people. I think it connects with people as well, because they're bored at home and they just want to look forward to something, and then now you give them something to look forward to when everything ends. So it's a way of adapting to the situation, and also not yeah, not sticking with how they normally would have done, the way they would have promoted their brands. Um, yeah, so I think in that sense, yeah, there are quite a few of these things that I realize that brands are starting to be a bit more adaptive to current situations. And I think there are also some negative examples that I've seen that, sometimes people start to be a bit more profit driven, and tends to want to focus a lot more on profits. And because of that, they lose sight of that whole brand persona side of things, and they start to um, focus a lot on just the dollar and cents, and eventually they, of course, they lose sight of being adaptive to what's happening around them, and they start to post certain things which becomes a bit too sensitive during this period of time. So that's where I think it's not very good for some of these brands as well. So yeah, so I think being adaptive, looking at what's happening, looking at how you can eventually be able to change your brand to suit what's going on consistently, whether it's through this pandemic or whether it's after everything. It's going to be very important for every brand out there right now.
Yeah, so the one that your Seychelles tourism board, I can't wait to see that link. And I hope everyone's gonna check that out too, to see maybe one of the ways on how the tourism deliver their message, even though I think travel companies are the most chaotic right now. Even airlines, they're facing a lot of troubles on how to
Yeah.
still manage the company. I heard that Singapore Airlines also just got funded for
Yeah, so they actually stopped like 96% of flights, so only 4% is running.
a special flight. I was supposedly to go to actually today, like literally today, to go to New York via Singapore.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, the way how they shift it is that I can still travel with the same ticket around the year until next year, March.
Yeah.
So yes, continue.
Yeah, so I think the travel industry has been really hard hit. Here in Singapore, I think like Singapore Airlines, or rather like Changi Airport, what they have done is that I think definitely they're suffering quite a lot right now with no flights coming in and such. And the airport, Singapore has one of the busiest airport in the world as well, and it has always been financially sound. So I think even in this pandemic, whether it's Changi Airport or whether it's Singapore Airlines, they all have to resort to cost cutting, cutting the salaries of their staff as well. And I think recently, Changi Airport, they actually announced that they're shutting down one of the terminals. So we actually have four terminals in the Changi Airport, Terminal 1 to 4. And they're shutting down Terminal 2 because there's not too many flights going around. And yeah, so, but what they have done is that, and they might be shutting down another terminal as well as time comes. I think eventually it just doesn't make economical sense for them to be operating on four terminals when there's no flights coming in. So what they try to do is that in Terminal 2, they are going to shut it down, but at the same time, they're going to push forward some plans of what they were trying to do later on. So I think they had plans to re-renovate the entire Terminal 2 over the next few years. So it was supposed to be done like concurrently with as the terminal it's running, because usually they do that, like they just close sections of it, they renovate, and then they close another section because they can't really close the entire thing when all the flights are flying. So what they have been trying to do right now is that they're making use of this period of time to in fact take the opportunity to bring forward the renovations and do it in a much shorter time, because right now there's no flights flying. So you could actually make use of the downtime right now to do something that you plan to do in the future. And with that, they actually will probably help to save a bit of cost later on, because they can do it in much shorter time. without any other interferences with what's going on. So in some way, it's not so much to be related to like the brand and persona and things, but I think it's also adapting to a situation and making good use of what's happening right now to replan and to re-strategize what you're gonna do, and at least once that if they get all renovations done and once everything is over, they start off with a whole new terminal with that's ready to accept flights coming in and guests coming in, and they won't get disrupted later on. So I think in the long run, you do suffer a bit right now, but it actually helps them to become more ready to start business again when it comes and with minimal disruptions. Yeah.
Wow, I think that's really cool. I mean, even though like they suffer a lot, but at least they are planning ahead and also prepare themselves to. Yeah, like I always talk this one statement over again and again through all the talks that I say, that I can really see that economy will fly again and also skyrocketed once everything is over, because everybody's just cannot wait to do things, because all are being postponed. But yeah, at the same time, once the wheel is back, I think it is much more very cautious for us to even, are you going to catch up your pace and be able to run the course again, or a lot of other people will running much more faster than you. So I think it's really good to come back to your frameworks again and to recalibrate also. And I think it's almost 8:50, though I think this IG live will end in 1 hour time. But if anybody has any question, you can leave it in the comments or the questions for us to answer. But as we're waiting, maybe Vincent, to wrap up the whole thing, do you have something, any more things to add? Maybe some tips?
Well, I think it's more of to sum up everything. I think be it so I mentioned like earlier on this, that we got to make full use of what's happening right now to bring up our brand persona, to make good use, to help to strengthen it. And one good way to do it is to connect with our own employees internally. So yeah, I think of course, other than planning for what's happening right now, the more important thing is to plan ahead to see what's going to happen after that. So there are a few ways of doing that. One is, of course, look into your own structure of the company, your employees, what they had been, after communicating with them and connecting with them, what are the challenges of how you could do better as a brand, to then further connect and communicate with them and to strengthen others, things that were not done properly before this crisis, and plan for what you're going to do after it, or even from now on to then after that to strengthen others areas. And at the same time, I think it's also a good time to plan for the whole strategy of your company and your brand, of what's going to happen. And like you said, there are going to be people who are going to start running faster than you are after that, because they started planning. And you don't want to, and I know we all hope that once everything is over, things are back to normal. But if you fail to plan ahead, what's going to happen to you is then that when things are over, people are going to start running, and then you're still walking and trying to catch up with them even after everything is over. So then you put yourself into another situation of playing catch up again after the whole crisis. So it's always a good time to plan ahead and see, look at things that have changed. I think things are going to be different. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done. I think, so just a last note is just I think it's good to make use of this time to plan for what's going to happen later on, so that we don't play catch up, both on our brand persona side, with our connect with our own stakeholders and such, and also to make sure that on a strategy side, the company is ready to take on what's going to happen, because things are going to change. The way that people buy things, the way that people look at things, the way that people communicate and connect with companies are going to be very different after this pandemic. So look into how things have changed and what people might eventually, the new way of doing things might eventually be, and look into strengthening those parts of your own business so that you're ready to take on the new economy after this entire crisis.
Yeah. Thank you so much for wrapping up. I don't think that there is any question, but Vincent, thank you so much because like I learned a lot. I mean, from our talk just now, and I think I always learn a lot from you, basically. And thank you so much also for being a very important part of my life. I mean, in terms of the career-wise and everything. I think I learned so much things from your side, and I really hope that StudioWorkz will keep on continue their journey, your journey, and also congratulations also for the Snappy Fly, right?
Snappy Fly, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think it's been a really good catch up today, this morning, and hopefully we can do something like this maybe in the coming future.
Sure, yeah.
So at least right now you already got used to all this IG live thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't hold you back because I think you have a lot of work as well today. But all the best.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting. I think it was interesting session because first time doing on IG as well for myself. So we'll connect again. I'm sure everything when it's over, we have more things to work together as well.
Yeah. All right. Have a good day, Vincent.
Same to you. Take care. Stay safe.
You too. Stay healthy.
Yeah. All right. Have a good day.
Tonight,
Bye.
can we get right?
Bye.
Tonight, can we get right? Whoa, Hey, I need some of your love tonight. I need some of your love. So kiss my lips.